Hello, this is Mike Green, Dodgy on the LightWave forums. I'd just like to show you this plugin a friend of mine wrote, which kind of replaces an old plugin called FI's Wrinkle. This one's called Qwrinkle, and it's by the same guy who wrote Bevel++, which I heartily recommend. It's a really, really useful plugin for extruding and beveling and things. So on this one, this is Qwrinkle, and basically what it does is if we just select some points, it works in point, polygon mode or edge mode. We just activate it. You can see here it's taken the points that we selected and it's surrounded them with a quad polygon mesh. So it's mainly there to add detail to things, so you can basically add wrinkles, having it indented or outdented, like that. If you drag up and down, obviously the dents go in and out. If you drag from side to side, the area that it covers spreads out. Now, up here you have your numeric panel, and it can work in two modes, either relative, where it has a percentage, and so like obviously 100%, 99.9% is right out to the edge, and oops, there we go, 0% is right down into the middle, so they're basically on top of each other, unless of course you push the middle points out of it. So you can see it disappears when they're all in the same place. So that's your percentage mode. Obviously you've got absolute and relative here, so you can choose to be like 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters, you know, as far out as you want. Or you can have absolute mode for your width as well, so you can pull that in and out. That'll mean that the points will be equally spaced around these points, so there'll always be a constant distance from the points that you have selected. Relative is more for, say, if you have, say, these points like here where it's going to get thinner. Okay, open that out. So I'll just push that out a bit. Now you can see here with absolute you're going to get these points rapidly hitting the corner, the edges, but you can see it's staying fairly constant as it goes down the ball. If we change that to relative, you can see the points at the top are closer together, and as you go further down the ball towards the equator, the widest part, then the points are further apart. So it gives you a cleaner way of dealing with these expanding areas. But you might not want that, you might want an absolute value, so I tend to use it in absolute, just make sure that the overlap isn't too wide, just so it goes out to the part that I want. Now, you know it's for wrinkles, we're generating wrinkles and dents in things, but it can also be used for sub-patch modelling. So if you have, say, something like this, where you have a ball that's got very kind of rounded edges, select those edges, press Wrinkle, you can see that it's immediately sharpened those edges up just by adding that two sets of polygons around those edges. And it becomes very useful, you know, for just tidying up objects. So for example, if I create a disk like this, just pop it on the center there, and I'm just going to reduce the number of polygons to say 12. So using his Bevel++ tool, I just draw up a profile, say. It's all very rough, but this is a very precise tool because it snaps to the LightWave grid. So as you zoom in, you can obviously get finer and finer control over where the points sit. Like that. And then if I'm going to just triple those, Now if I turn that into a subpatch object, you can see it's very blobby and very, like, you know, rounded. But say I want to make part of it sharp, then I just pop the wrinkle tool, make it say 2 centimeters, maybe even 1. Let's just make it 1. So see the points are very sharp there, and I select around that bit. You can see suddenly it's a much more clean mesh. If I do that for the top one as well, you can see, boink, there we go, suddenly we've got a flat cap. Now that's really useful. Now if you keep the shift to 0, then basically the points are drawn between that point and the next point along. So it will be a flat plane between there. So it keeps it nice and crisp. Of course, this plugin also works very well with Vmaps. So here we've got a color map. If I select some edges, and I'll just bring up the UV view. You see I've got an atlas map here. I might just select points actually. And I'll just select those points. So you can see I've got points going all the way around the mesh and crossing discontinuous UV borders. Okay, and if I hit W, you can see that the UV map is preserved, and it keeps the UVs in the right area. And as you obviously scale them, you can see it adjusts the UVs to match. And it works very well. So it means that you can UV your object and not worry about it when you're using this tool, unlike some of the other tools which can wipe out UVs. This preserves them very well, even discontinuous ones. It keeps morphs intact, so you can see the points have morphed like that. And if we switch to the weight view, just turn on the weight map, you can see it preserves the weights as well. So it interpolates between, you know, the points at the center of the actual wrinkle and those that are surrounding it. So you can see it gives a lovely, you know, effect there. So yeah, that's basically how I use Wrinkle all the time. I mostly use it to sharpen these edges in a subpatch object, but yeah, it's great for doing indents and, you know, little bits of embossed detail and things like that. And it always preserves quads, so it's completely subpatch friendly. Whatever it generates, it's always going to be quads. At the end, it generates a sort of like a three-sided quad, so you've got 1 point and then 3 points in a row for the actual end caps. So if I sort of do, if I select, say, these points, these edges, I have to turn it back to base morph mode. So if we do that and go W, you can see there you get this quad polygon. Now if you want to keep it like that, you can, or if you drop the thing, you can spin the quad, so you get a kind of a better flow of polygons than necessarily if you want. But basically it's always going to generate quads, which is so useful for subpatch modeling. He's selling it now on his page for $39, so it's a steal for me. I just had to have it. So I hope you find it useful, and yeah, there you go. Qwrinkle.